I was first of all want to congratulate him. He just became the Vice Chancellor for Ayurvedic University in Jamnagar. Yes, sir. Jamnagar. And that's what helped him become a scientist into administration. And so congratulations. But he will be talking about update on research tools and scope of medicinal plant being used in Ayurveda. So I think we'll continue from Dr. Manohar's topics of that. The question of we will come.
Honorable Chairperson, the dignitaries, friends, colleagues. I have this topic on clues and scope and further update on researches on botanicals. As area of specializations we are, but our attention is on these plants which is quoted in Ayurveda several thousand years ago. My friend Dr. Ram Manohar had a very nice presentation just before me. So in very short brief, I want to put some thoughts before actually I start my presentation. And I think it will be very much useful to understand the whole scenario. And maybe this will help us to visualize bridging the gap between these traditional science and basic sciences or allopathic medicine, or maybe going towards an integrative medicine approach. So, like when we look at the Ayurveda and Western medicine, there is a typical difference between its indigenous approach of Ayurveda. Like I would compare it with the democratic behavior of our Indian sciences, that in our culture we have quite a good democracy of choosing what we want. Say in our gods, we have thousands of gods and everybody is free to choose their own god. In my home, we have 5-6 types of gods. My wife is from Jain community. My father believes in Shiva, and we are from Vaishnav community. So we have a lot of gods in my home. So it's like a democratic behavior of our culture, our community. So our sciences, indigenous sciences, it could be yoga, it could be Ayurveda, it could be Jyotish. They have this very classical behavior. You can see that an Ayurvedic Vaidya is more like a facilitator and not a dictator. A patient is the boss. Patient decides ultimately what they want, and a Vaidya or a practitioner just facilitate what is best in the benefit of that patient. In Western medicine, our counterpart, the doctors, they are quite good. Their heart, they know they want to help as much as they can, like Dr. Naresh Trehan yesterday he said. But there is something more to be done. And here the problem is that this science, the inner core behavior is to help the patient, but in a dictatorship way. My statement could be a little harsh, but we could see that perspective, that doctor dictates, you are supposed to do this, you are supposed to do this. You got to run these tests, and then we will decide. And then this is like quite an amusing to the patients, quite overpowering to the end user. Of course, it is beneficial. I don't question that, but it is the difference between this behavior of two sciences, and that is why visibly there is a gap between these two sciences. Close to the rivalry, but it is not needed. We should understand the inner behavior of these sciences. Then we can benefit for the good of patients, for the good of science. For example, the Ayurvedic community should understand and accept that our horizon should be more. We should not be a secluded community. We should not be a sect. We should be more open. Our students, our teaching should be more oriented to let our students know more about basic sciences so that they can use technologies. Yesterday, Dr. Amma's presentation was so good. It was her approach, it developed because of her expertise of basic sciences in physics, in addition to being an Ayurvedic physician. So, these types of things are needed. Some examples like Dr. Ashok Vaidya mentioned about, he was really amazed when he heard about this presentation on prevention of breast cancer by ashwagandha. Or his colleague, she was Miss Tejinder, Dr. Tejinder, she was mentioning her study, her presentation was based on few plant molecules. One of that molecule is on curcumin. So Dr. Khan mentioned that in our tradition, curcumin, we don't use curcumin as it is. There are a lot of available knowledge that curcumin as it is not useful for human gut. We have to do something. So in tradition, we use curcumin with pepper, like Dr. Ramanor said, and it is now established that it increases the therapeutic efficacy of curcumin in our body. And same way, curcumin we use in spices with oil media. So when we use in oil media, it is better absorbed. So there is a need of really a better understanding of this very science. Then Ayurveda is not only a science of botanicals, it is a science of life, as said in its definition. So when we talk about Ayurveda as an Ayurvedic professional, we do not look at only botanicals. And that is also a mismatch, because from our counterpart, they look towards us expecting that we are only aware about botanicals, we are only aware about the plant-based medicines or basmas or so on, but not. An Ayurvedic practitioner, practice is based on lot of more things, an individual perception, prakriti analysis, or going towards individual requirement and lifestyle and dietetics and food, and there are so many such things very specifically described in Ayurveda. So this is also one of the additional things which we all should be aware about. Then there is one more thing, is this cocktail word as mentioned by Ram Manoharji, that we have the principle of cocktail of molecules. We in Ayurvedic science medicines, when we talk about botanicals or plant-based medicines, they are more of formulations. We seldom use individual plants. There are so many evidences, but most of the time we use cocktails. One more thing, that there are lot of evidences available that when we use the plant as it is in whole, when we use an individual molecule, there is a difference in properties. Sometimes they are altogether different than each other. So in this light, I would like to say few words or something about available clues and scopes. When you go to any health food stores in the Western world, Dr. Khan will endorse it, that there are thousands of products in a typical health food store, claiming so many things, vitamins and botanical supplements and plant-based derivatives or some chemical constituents, and there are so many which an end user can buy over the counter without doctor's advice. Substitutes, botanicals, derived from botanicals. There are lot of products which is individual alone, like curcuma or triphala in a combination, or there are so many plants, combination of plants targeting one individual therapeutic activity. For example, there is a product supporting Parkinson's patients. So they don't only use mucuna, but they put lot of things in a particular product. So, and most of the time these combinations are not thoroughly researched. It is just made a combination and then it is being sold over the counter. So there are problems, but there are lot of possibilities. There are lot of possibilities. So let's explore this. That it is continuously, the sales of herbs and botanicals are continuously grow, and most of the insurance companies do not support it. People want to pay for them from their pocket. So it is interesting. So the business in 2010, it reached to 33 billion US dollar, and by 2015 it is an estimate that it will reach to 93 billion. So look at the possibility. There are so many reasons, and botanicals are the first choice in preventive medicine. This is the topmost reason. When we talk about preventive medicine, botanicals are the first choice. Some of my previous speakers were quoting about how many percentage of cancer patients are using botanicals. So it was ranging from 9% to 64% in one presentation. In another presentation in US, more than 76% people suffering from cancers are taking botanicals, and in pediatric patients it is even more than 85%. Being a practitioner of Ayurveda, I have an observation that it could be something more than that, because lot of patients do not reveal the information by the fear of that our attending doctor would mind for our taking botanicals, So lot of patients, almost all, they take some or the other thing when they are suffering from cancer, because for them it is a question of life and death. So they usually take botanicals, whether they tell the doctor or not, but they do take it. So in Ayurveda we have lot of areas in which we can help, or there are leads, there are clues, and there are so many plants which is already being used as a botanicals and being exported from India to different parts of the world. So we have like anti-stress and neuroactive plants, we have immunomodulators and adaptogens, anti-arthritic, anti-inflammatory botanicals. Dr. Gita Krishnanji already mentioned about the clues and some work being done in Medanta. Cardioprotectives and hypolipidemics, anti-diabetics, also there are so many leads. And then as a therapeutic procedures, Panchakarma and Kshar Sutra, it's also they are also a useful set of therapies, and there are a lot of evidences about usefulness and therapeutic efficacy of Panchakarma and Kshar Sutra in particular for anorectal disorders. Special consideration in which we can have more contribution is geriatrics, rejuvenation, nutrition, immunology, genetics, and higher consciousness. This higher consciousness word is having a lot of debate, a scope of lot of debate. So I will not go into that debate, but there are so many plants that we talk about, and we have some evidences about helping in our functions of the brain. For this, Ayurveda advocates botanicals and nutraceuticals to be administered in these different dosage forms. I just mentioned about whole plant and versus the molecules. The Ayurvedic text described a set of rejuvenative measures like rasayana, either in the form of botanicals or nutraceutical or dietary supplement or food, or to impart biological sustenance to the bodily tissues. I want to put one very interesting example that we had a study in my university about comparing different the impact of ghee on human body. All the modern physicians would specifically tell the patients if they have problem with high cholesterol or hyperlipidemia, they would tell them stop ghee, don't take ghee, because it is a pure animal fat, it should not be taken. So we were really curious to see what is actually inside. So we have taken up a PhD study. It was a small sample study. Now we have clues, so we will do more. But we have taken like more than 60 volunteers in each group, There were two groups. One is they were subjected to take 50 grams of ghee every day, 50 grams of ghee every day, sourced from market. And another set of volunteers were subjected to take 50 grams of ghee, which is made as per the traditional method, like first taking milk and taking out the cream and then making it sour by putting live bacterial culture, and then from that sour cream we have taken out butter and then make ghee, which is traditional method. All our Indian people knows about that. But now what we get ghee is not that traditional ghee. What we get is that they just take out the cream from the ghee, from the milk, and then make ghee out of it. So the study was very interesting, that after like 8 weeks of duration, it was 8 weeks of duration, we have taken healthy volunteers irrespective of anything, just random sampling, but we have ruled out these patients with specifically who is suffering from high cholesterol or taking some medicines or having some other pathology. Or then the observation was quite interesting, that the people who were taking the ghee from the market, sourced from the market, majority of them, after 60 days of taking this high amount of ghee, their cholesterol went up in general. Bad cholesterol, total cholesterol and LDL and TG. And then people who were taking this ghee sourced from traditional method, their total cholesterol did not go up. Actually, when we compared it in mean value, it went down marginally. And their HDL went up, LDL went down, TG went down. This is an authentic study. So you can see that when we look at these traditional systems, our tradition of even our food, there are a lot of things which we have to see from critical point of view. So it is only at something diet which is very well praised in Indian systems, Indian culture. Like for ghee, Ayurveda also advocates to take ghee. So it is a contradiction. Ayurvedic physicians tells you should take ghee, and modern physicians say you should not take ghee. So we wanted to find how this contradiction should be resolved. So this is a clue. So those types of things we talk about in Rasayana, rejuvenation. There are a lot of plants and foods like ghee, or plants like Triphala, Ashwagandha, Shatavari. They are all rejuvenators. Rasena generally is claimed to act as a micronutrient, or it is organ and tissue specific also. There are a lot of researches on this. These are some examples of Rasayana. Amalaki, like Amla, Shatavari, Pippali, Amruta or Guduchi, Punarnava, Mandukaparni, that is popularly known as Gotukola, Madhu Yasti or Yasti Madhu, or Brahmi, Ashwagandha, Bala, Haritaki, Bhallataka. There are so many Rasayanas. I just put some examples of Rasayana drugs or botanical plants. There are organ specific Rasayana also, and all these plants have lot of evidences. If you type some of the plant either in the Sanskrit name or in the botanical name into Medline, you get at least 100, 200, 500 abstracts of different researches on these plants. Like as a cardiotonic, we have Arjuna, as a Medhya, memory enhancer, Bekopa or Shankapushpi convolvulus, or Tvachya acacia. Chakshusya is like Triphala, or Kanthya, that is throat care, is Glycyrrhiza glabra or Suretens. We have disease specific Rasayana botanicals also, Rasayana drugs. We use these as a medicine in Ayurveda. So this is specific. So in Ayurvedic therapeutics, there is a principles of treatment, that whenever we treat certain disorder, we usually add 1 or 2 Rasayana in addition to a standard medical medicine protocol. So Rasayana actually helps a person to heal faster. So those are the different Rasayana helping in different diseases, and most of these plants are thoroughly researched now. So it is not only indicated in Ayurvedic text, but there are so many research is already being done or had been done. Some important research is on botanicals, like Brahmi. It regulates brain biogenic amines and influences the discrimination of learning. Or Ashwagandha, it relieves stress and anxiety. Arjuna, effective in management of CVD or good cardioprotective. Guduchi is immunomodulator. Vijay is like antibiotic. Since yesterday, at least 5 speakers have quoted Vijay in one of their slides. Ashwagandha is reputed rejuvenative, aphrodisiac, alterative and nervine tonic as and mentioned in Ayurveda. It is useful in emaciation, senile debility, rheumatism. It's like a multi-indication Ayurvedic plant. It's a geriatric tonic also. It has an adaptogenic property. In one of the observation, it is more potent than any other types of ginseng. Prevents the harmful effect of stress. There are a lot of updates or evidences. It increases the body weight, total protein and hemoglobin significantly, or it prevents increase in adrenal weight and decrease in ascorbic acid and cortisol contents of adrenal gland during resistance. There are a lot of such. So if we put like Vidania and immune, if you put only Ashwagandha or only Vidania, you get more than 1,000 abstracts on Medline, but only on its immunomodulatory effect on Medline you get almost 13 clues. Gokshura is very famous plant in Ayurveda. We use it for genitourinary disorder. But one of the important observations of Gokshura is that it increases the total testosterone in an individual. So it is used as an aphrodisiac in the West. Almost all aphrodisiac botanicals in Western world, Gokshura is one of the ingredient. Punarnava, it is like anti-hyperlipidemic, diuretic and hepatonephroprotective. So these two activities, it is diuretic, but it do not deplete potassium and sodium in our body. So it is very important, and then also it is very good hepatoprotective. So these preparations which have these types of activity, Punarnava is one of the important ingredient in the botanicals. Amalaki in Ayurveda, Amalaki is mentioned at so many places. It is one of the important ingredient of Triphala. Individually, it also has 5 rasa, 5 taste, and is an astringent, bitter, digestive, aphrodisiac, laxative, and nutritional tonic. In Ayurveda, there is an important formulation known as Rasayana Churnam. So Rasayana Churnam is having 3 ingredients. One is Amalaki, one is Guduchi, one is Gokshura. So these 3 plants, and it is claimed that if somebody takes it for a long time, their general health stays good, and there are so many evidences about that Rasayana Churnam also. It is the richest source of vitamin C. It is a very good antacid, very good anti-ulcer, antioxidant, immunomodulator, rejuvenator, and it facilitates iron absorption. It is a very important function of this plant. It is anti-degenerative too. There are a lot of clues, lot of updates on Amalaki. I am not going to read everything, but there are some evidences. If you put Emblica or this Emblica officinalis is the botanical name, we put Emblica, there is a 132 abstracts on Medline. Sunthi, ginger is very common plant, but there is an interesting observation. One of the studies says that if somebody takes ginger tea, not with a popular tea with caffeine, just ginger decoction as a tea, then if they take like 3 times a day, the effect is almost equivalent to 400 milligram of ibuprofen taken 2 times a day as a anti-inflammatory or as a help in the pain. There are so many updates of research, but it is interesting that in Ayurveda we have our eye on fresh ginger and dry ginger. So fresh ginger is hitting and dry ginger is not. So we use this knowledge by to suggest the patients. If somebody is having Pitta Prakriti, we discourage them to take fresh ginger. But somebody is Vata or Kapha Prakriti, fresh ginger is good for them. So it is like a discrimination of the suggestion or differentiation of using the same plant for different individuals. Pipali has a lot of study, it is bioenhancer. It is now proved that if we put Pipali with any other plants, it increases the bioavailability of that plant. There are studies that if we use Pipali with popular ATT drugs, then it increases the bioavailability of antituberculous drugs and reduces the doses and heals a patient faster while preventing the liver damage. So this clue is very important, and there are clues also that if we use ashwagandha and Pipali together, it also helps in reducing the side effect of chemotherapy in certain types of cancers. So for Ayurveda, Pipali is one of the important plant, but there is a word of caution that in Ayurveda they said, our scholars in our books, they said that Pipali should not be used for long time. If somebody uses Pipali for long time, it in place of helping, it harms. Guduchi, I mentioned Guduchi in Rasayana Churnam, one of the ingredient of Rasayana Churnam, and it is known as Amrita. Amrita is like nectar. If used properly, it works like a nectar. It rejuvenates whole body, whole system. And in Ayurvedic classics, it is said that it is intellect promoting also. So it is very, very interesting therapeutic activity of Guduchi. It is anti-stress and it is adaptogenic also. It is also hepatoprotective. And there in some studies, it is having this therapeutic property as an antiviral. So Guduchi is also a multi-spectrum, broad spectrum plant-based Ayurvedic medicine. It decreases the acetylcholine content of the whole brain, but notably raises the acetylcholine in cortex. So this is an important observation about its impact on brain physiology. It caused reduction of blood sugar in alloxan-induced hyperglycemia. So there is a clue that it can be used as a hypoglycemic agent or useful in the diabetes management. If we type Guduchi or Tinospora in immune, there is more than around 8 abstracts available on Medline. Shatavari is one of the important Ayurvedic plant, and Shatavari is also we use in combinations, but individually Shatavari is a rejuvenative, aphrodisiac, spermatogenic, galactogogue, antispasmodic, nutritive, cardiac and brain tonic. There is an important observation in Shatavari that Shatavari increases the milk production in a nursing mother, galactogogue. So it is very important therapeutic activity of Shatavari. So many products having Shatavari is being sold in the Western world. Shatavari is also a female tonic according to Ayurveda. So for so many products claiming with the claim of helping in perimenopause or postmenopause, Shatavari is one of the important ingredient. It has lot of selenium also and lot of other nutrients. Is a potent immunomodulator. It helps in the duodenal ulcer also, Shatavari, because it is cool. According to Ayurveda, it is a pitta pacifying, so it helps into the duodenal ulcer. If we put Shatavari in stress, there are 8 abstracts available. Couch is important plant. Couch is having a natural source of L-dopa, so it is being used for Parkinson's. So, and there are so many other activity of couch. It is aphrodisiac also, and it is nervine tonic also. But mainly in the Western world, Mucuna pruriens is used as a supplement for Parkinson's disorder. Arjuna, as I mentioned, it is also a cardiotonic and used as a support to the heart. There are a lot of evidences, as I mentioned. If you put Arjuna in heart, there are as long as 15 abstracts. Haritaki is one of the important ingredient of Triphala. In Sanskrit it is said, Yasya mata nasti tatra tasya mata haritaki. It means that if some child has lost his mother, so in absence of mother, because a child will not get good food or good nutrition, Haritaki will be able to take care of the health of the child. So it is very important plant from that perspective, taking care of an individual's health. Triphala, I spoke about Triphala a lot before. And Trikatu is one of the important formulation of Ayurveda, having 3 Ushna plant like ginger, black pepper and pipali or piper longum. So this is also an anti-inflammatory analgesic expectorant. There are a lot of properties of Trikatu. Thank you so much.
The next speaker is Dr. Vishwakarma. I don't think he needs much of an introduction. He is the organizer, bringing everybody together and bringing to cooperation and collaboration for the future development. So that one he will talk about nature product driven drug discovery from Triple I.